Hello, everyone. My name is Mandy Dibble, and I am a TA for the spring 2024 semester. Today, we are talking about IBD and deviance, masking the unmentionable disease. So, what is IBD? IBD stands for inflammatory bowel disease, not to be confused with irritable bowel syndrome. Sounds similar, but very, very different. IBD is typically Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. It's an autoimmune disease that infects the entire digestive tract. It typically involves inflammation, hence the inflammatory bowel disease, also erosion. Crohn's usually affects mostly the small or the large intestines, where you see affects the colon and the rectum. Symptoms can include flatulence, diarrhea, ulcers, incontinence, and sometimes severe abdominal pain. It is the bathroom disease, right? It's very embarrassing. It's a social taboo, not to be discussed. People don't like to talk about or hear about problems in the bathroom. So, as a result, some of this lecture may even feel uncomfortable. And that really goes to show the societal norms that we have and the expectations that we have around this disease. Hiding IBD symptoms, reasons for hiding symptoms. Individuals with IBD often conceal their symptoms due to pervasive societal stigma and misunderstandings surrounding gastrointestinal illnesses, right? There's a lot of feelings of shame, embarrassment, or fear of judgment, which drive individuals to hide symptoms, leading to delayed diagnosis often or a delay in treatment, because people just don't like to admit that there's something wrong with their GI tract. So the fear of being perceived as different or weak due to these symptoms associated with IBD contributes to the concealment of these health issues. So, impact on individual well being. Concealing IBD symptoms not only affects physical health, but it also takes a toll on mental well being, can cause increased stress, anxiety, and very often depression. Hiding symptoms may lead to a sense of isolation, which prevents individuals from seeking social support, which is crucial for managing this condition. The psychological burden of maintaining secrecy about the illness can exacerbate the overall impact of IBD on an individual's quality of life. Societal perception of illness concealment. This is where deviance takes a role into this. So, societal norms and expectations regarding health and illness play a significant role in encouraging individuals to hide their condition. Because society says it's not okay for us to have GI issues, not okay for us to talk about it, that is where people become deviant. They become to conform to that societal norm, they hide their symptoms. Culturally ingrained beliefs may discourage open discussion about health issues, reinforcing the tendency to conceal symptoms. The pressure to conform to societal norms regarding health perpetuates the concealment of symptoms related to IBD and similar conditions. So the societal norm is to be healthy. And when you're not healthy and you have the ability to hide that, people do. So this is where the term invisible disability comes in, right? So people, when they look at somebody who has IBD, you don't typically see any symptoms from the outside. They appear to be completely normal or completely healthy. This differs from a disability as per se somebody in a wheelchair, where they don't have the ability to hide their disability as much. Masking symptoms in social settings. So, strategies for concealing symptoms. Individuals with IBD employ various strategies to conceal their symptoms, such as taking medication. Dietary modifications are big. So, There are a lot of dietary modifications that a person with IBD can do to help with their symptoms. For example, gluten-free, dairy-free, low fiber, no red meat. The list kind of goes on and on. It is a little difficult to adhere to a diet like that, but doing it can certainly help conceal your symptoms. Also, altering behaviors in public help mask your symptoms. The constant effort to appear healthy in social situations involves concealing the pain, concealing the discomfort, or the physical manifestations of the illness. So it's the societal norm to appear healthy, to appear not in pain. So these people will often conceal their pain so that they can conform to that societal norm. Managing symptoms discreetly becomes the consistent part of daily life to maintain a facade of normalcy in social settings. The psychological impact on the individual. The perpetual need to hide symptoms leads to heightened physiological stress, anxiety, and this can lead to a sense of disconnection from one true self. The conflict between concealing an integral part of oneself and projecting normalcy contributes to emotional distress, and it can even cause an identity crisis, right? Because you are hiding a part of you, you are hiding who you are so that you can conform to society. And that is where we're sort of becoming an unconscious deviant. The fear of being misunderstood or invalidated due to the hidden nature of the illness adds to the psychological burden borne by individuals with IBD. So when people look at someone with IBD, you're saying, there's nothing wrong with you. Look at you. You look fine. Whereas the problem is on the inside, right? It's not seen from the outside. So because there is that hidden nature there, it does create a big psychological burden. Effects on social interactions and relationship. Masking symptoms affects social interactions, making it challenging to form genuine connections or participate fully in social activities. For example, someone may limit their social activities based off of accessibility to a bathroom or based off of accessibility of a place to change their clothes, shall they need to. Disclosure of the conditions to friends, families, or partners while maintaining a semblance of normalcy proposes significant interpersonal challenges. So people don't even like to discuss their bathroom problems with their friends, with their family, their husband or their wife. The secrecy surrounding this illness may strain relationships, impacting trust and communication dynamics with personal connections. So masking these symptoms, conforming to that societal norm does have consequences. And it may strain some of your relationships. It certainly will impact the trust that you have with your partner. And simply because it's really hard to talk about, right? It's a social taboo. It's not something that we typically discuss. And your book goes into that quite a bit more. Your book discussed a support group in which they don't even blatantly talk about their symptoms and their problems in that support group. They say things like, my GI tract is moving quick, rather than the phrase of diarrhea. So it's normal even within the community of those with IBD. So definitely refer to your book for some more information on that. The concept of deviance within sociology, right? So why we're all here, right? Deviance within sociology encompasses behaviors, traits, or conditions that diverge significantly from societal norms, triggering societal disapproval or sanctions. So you should be, at this point in the course, you should be very familiar with what deviance is, but we're just going over it again, just for a quick recap. So societal norms construct what is considered acceptable behavior or conditions. And deviations from that often lead to labeling and stigmatization. Power dynamics, cultural context, and social perceptions contribute to the categorization of certain behaviors or conditions as deviant. So, by conforming to the societal norm of being healthy, of having a healthy GI tract, does make one a deviant when that is not the case. Societal pressures and deviance in IBD, analyzing the influence of societal pressures in shaping perceptions of deviance regarding inflammatory bowel disease or IBD. So, some societal pressures, stigmatization of gastrointestinal illnesses perpetuates the notion that discussing or displaying the symptoms is socially unacceptable. It's not something that you can really talk about, right? The cultural norms. Oops. Oh no. The cultural norms surrounding health and illness create an expectation for individuals to conceal health issues that are deemed socially taboo or uncomfortable. The fact that hearing about these bathroom issues in this lecture is probably making you uncomfortable. That is a great example of the way that society feels about this. Lack of public awareness and education about IBD leads to misconceptions, further intensifying the societal pressure to hide the symptoms. Applying sociological theories to hiding IBD. So listen up, this will be on the test, right? The theory that fits the best to this concept is labeling theory. Labeling theory elucidates how societal perceptions of IBD shape individuals' self concept and behavior, leading to the concealment of symptoms. Social constructionism examines how societal norms construct ideas about health and illness, influencing the perception and management of conditions like IBD. So, the impact of societal labels on individuals with hidden illnesses amplifies the challenges they face in forming self identity and in seeking support. So, they don't want the label as somebody who has incontinence of accidents. They don't want the label of somebody who talks about gross things, right? They are looking at labeling theory, and that is why they are deviant, because they don't want that label. All right, some researchers and studies on hiding IBD and sociological differences. So your book discusses two or three other researchers. We're just going to talk about three new ones, just to give a little bit more of a modern perspective. But please refer to your books because there's some really good ones in there as well. Several researchers have delved into the complex relationship between concealing inflammatory bowel disease symptoms and sociological deviance. So this sheds lights on lived experience of affected individuals. So one example is Norton, probably going to butcher this name, but Zuber, Doken, and Bassett. So their study was the stigma of IBD, a European perspective. They investigated the experiences of stigma and social stigma management strategies among individuals with IBD across various European countries, highlighting the diverse societal perceptions and different coping mechanisms that they used. Another one is Robillard, Jung Heinel, and Schreider. So this study is the experience of stigma in chronic invisible illness, a comparative study of three invisible conditions. So it's important to realize that this is not unique to IBD. This is not unique to the GI tract illnesses. There are several invisible illnesses that use these tools that use these strategies that conform to societal norms to hide their diseases. And the study looked into three of them. So they compared experiences of stigma among individuals with IBD, but also fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And they identified commonalities and differences in coping strategies when it comes to societal perceptions. And lastly, we have Taft, Kiefer, and Arts. So their study was Invisible Illness, Invisible Struggle, a qualitative exploration of concealment and disclosure in IBD. Their key findings was they explored the emotional toll and reasons behind concealing IBD symptoms, shedding light on more of the psychological impact of hiding the illness from society and how that kind of weighs on a person mentally. So, the impact of societal norms on individuals with hidden illnesses. Societal expectations and norms strongly influence individuals to hide their illness to align with the accepted standards of health and normalcy. It is a societal norm to be healthy. It is not a societal norm to have these struggles. So people adhere to that. They become deviant by forming to those societal expectations. So these norms impede access to support systems and necessary healthcare resources, exacerbating the challenges faced by those with hidden illnesses. So somebody might not necessarily seek care because it is so embarrassing, because it is so against the grain. These people obviously sometimes don't even seek the health resources that they truly need. Advocacy for societal awareness, acceptance, and support is crucial to create an inclusive environment for individuals managing hidden diseases like IBD. Deviance in other health conditions. Like I said, this is not unique to IBD. This is not unique to GI diseases. Some mental health disorders that are easily masked are depression, anxiety, bipolar, and even eating disorders. These mental health disorders often lead individuals to conceal their symptoms due to societal stigma and misunderstanding around their disease. There's also chronic invisible illnesses such as fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, migraines, diseases like that can prompt individuals to hide symptoms due to societal pressures to appear healthy. My personal story, I have IBD. I have Crohn's disease, which I was diagnosed in March 22. And then later, a few months later, I was diagnosed with gastroparesis, which is a paralyzation of the stomach muscles. Basically, it means that when food gets in my stomach doesn't move it and digest it like it should. A lot of times it just kind of sits there. But I'm a great example of people denying their IDs because their disease because of societal pressures and not seeking care. I actually have been suffering from symptoms my whole life, but it wasn't until my disease significantly progressed uh, to the point where I was no longer able to deny it, in which I sought care. And even with my parents and my family, I was just kind of told that that's how life was, and sometimes your stomach hurts. But that really wasn't the case in my situation. So a lot of my strategies are I'm on several medications, some oral pills, as well as biweekly injections, which cause me to be immunocompromised. So the injections are it's an immune suppressant. So it is sort of controlling and decreasing my immune system's ability in order to get better. And that is because my immune system is what's attacking my small intestine. So I am one of these people that are forced to hide my disease and my symptoms. And even just admitting to you guys today and talking about, and admitting to this disease to a classroom is quite contradictory to everything I've been telling you today. But I do have to tell you, it makes me very uncomfortable. Um, but one of the ways that I get around this disease is I kind of have to schedule my life around bathroom ability. And I do have to sort of restrict my activities. So can no longer really go to like music festivals uh, that are kind of remote. I can't really do backcountry snowboarding and backpacking like I used to, because I have to have access to a bathroom or access to multiple clothes to change into if I were to need it. So it definitely restricts my activities. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to discuss this with our lecture today, is because of my personal experience. So if you have any questions, any comments at all, refer to chapter 33 in your book. It's on page 388. It's called Dark Secrets and the Collective Management of Inflammatory Bowel Disease. And it follows a guy and his journey and his support groups and sort of his acceptance of his new disease. And I definitely leveled with the chapter in the book, but it gives you a little bit more insight, more of a personal experience into what is going on. As always, you can reach out to myself, your other TAs, or Professor McQueen. My email is right there. If you're watching this in spring 2024, I have Zoom hours from 9 to 10 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm available basically any other time as well. Just send me an email. We can set something up whenever. If you're watching this in a subsequent semester, I'm sorry, but I have graduated. So I am not available, but refer to your Meet Your Instructor team on your Canvas, and will have a list of TAs as well as Professor McQueen, who is always very responsive. And any questions or comments, anything like that, just let me know. And we're here to help. Thank you for your time today, and I hope you enjoyed this lecture.